How's it going, Shy?
Oh, not bad. Not well, not okay. I watched a movie yesterday, and it was a movie that is supposed to be well known for being very confusing, kind
Okay.
of, and that you may need to be high for it because the main character is high and the story is kind of convoluted and doesn't necessarily gel, and it's also supposed to be like a mystery, but you can't, the story's so all over the place that you can't keep up with it
Okay.
or whatever. And so I had been putting off watching it for a while, even though the guy who directed it's one of my favorite directors, and it was the only one of his work I hadn't seen yet. So I went ahead and watched it yesterday, and that shit made perfect sense to me. um, and I'm trying to like reconcile why that is, because I don't do drugs of any sort. The strongest thing I do is like a Tylenol PM
Okay.
or an Aleve. So I that's not me. So it's not that I was high.
Right.
Um, and it just, and it was like 2.5 hours long, and it didn't even feel like 2.5 hours long. And I am just like, why did this make sense to me and everybody else who I assume is high all the time? All of you, you're all high. Why did it make sense to me? And I realized why. It is a convoluted like story.
Okay.
Um, and people come in and reference someone from what just happened, but you don't see it connect. The problem is people wanted to understand what was happening.
Okay.
And I think the key uh, is to not worry about it
Okay. Okay.
and to just let it do what it was going to do. All of the, everything, every loose end was going to be tied up.
Okay.
Every single one. So even if you don't remember how it got to that point, you're going to see it get fixed and you're going to go, well, all right, I guess that's been fixed. And then they go to the next thing. And all of these things were going to, they were introduced and then tied up, throughout the 2.5 hours. And you're just like, oh, great. So if you don't pay that close attention, you're just like, you're just like, oh, great. Well, that's all ended then. Everybody seems happy. And I'm so sorry that all of you high people really were trying to go through it to try and figure out what was happening when you could have just been not high and not cared,
That's it.
and it would have been great. Yeah. So anywho, you check out Inherent Vice. That was the movie, but
That
yeah,
is not a
it made
Siskel
perfect.
Ebert. Like, hey,
Yeah. Yeah, it made no. I mean, like, and I like that director's other movies. He's one of my favorite directors. And let me tell you, I've looked at the other ones, and they had clear-cut things happening, I thought. And I still, every time, I'm just like, well, what the fuck was that about? And I got to go read a bunch of shit. This time, I was just like, I ain't reading nothing. I'm just going to let you tell whatever story you want to tell. And it turned out just fine.
See,
Delightful, even.
I feel like you have an unfair advantage because I feel like this is your worldview in general, Shot. Like,
oh, I want everything to make sense.
What? Shot, I feel like every episode I show up, we're about to record, and you are at a place where it's just like, okay, so I guess this is happening in my life right now. Let's see where it goes,
Okay, let's see where it goes. Definitely is part of my ministry, but that's after like a lot of. There are times where it's just a lot of research, and sometimes it's just fun to kind of like, oh yeah, sure, let's see where this leads me. But sometimes I'm like, what is happening? And and I mean, like, look, I'm not. I have no problem with spoilers. Spoil me. I need absolutely tell me what's going to happen. I will read a book and get a couple of chapters in, and then go read the last page of the book just to make sure I'm not going to waste my time. You know what I mean? Like, I need to know, and I picked that up from my mother. So I need to know what
Okay.
kind of have an idea as to what's going to happen. But this one, I was just like, I'm following, and then there was some twist, and then something else happened, and I was like, well, I don't even know why they brought that up, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. And then after after like an hour, I was like, oh, that might be the move, is to not, because you're just gonna keep bringing in folks, and I'm gonna go, oh, so and so's in this movie. I'm gonna treat it like that.
Okay. Major
Yeah.
key.
So anywho, it's a good movie. I like Paul T. Anderson. I think I've been a fan of his since Jump. And a lot of people are like Inherent Vice is probably my favorite movie. And I'm like, really? Because I hear it's confusing. And you're always high. But I get it now.
Your real talk, the whole time you were describing, I thought you were talking about like Memento. And
Oh no, Memento fucked with me. I couldn't sleep for 3 days.
why?
Because I was like, what happened? What the fuck happened?
I love that movie. I thought it was cool.
I watched it. Let's see, I think I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
And so then I was just confused. And then I watched it once again on like DVD. I think I bought the DVD, and I don't know why, because that movie, I was always just like, man, fuck Memento. I miss sleep. But I thought I guess I bought the DVD because I wanted to. I was gonna figure this movie out. I was gonna beat it. I was gonna beat Memento. But it just, there's that part. There's a part where there's a switch that happens,
Right.
where old girl does a thing, and you're like, oh shit. And then when that happens, it threw me off. So I was just reeling from that. And then at the end, when it goes from black and white to color,
Right.
man, fuck, I was just like, I don't know what done happened. What is real? Am I here? Like, who are we? I was fucked up for 3 days.
I love that movie. My only complaint with that movie is like it made me talk too much about that movie for like a solid week. Like I was just like, yo, y'all seen Memento? And nobody in East New York had seen Memento. Like nobody had heard of it. Nobody knew what it was.
Right.
And I just felt like I was just like, there was a solid like day where I thought I had just like made up the movie. Like I was like, yo, like I should make this movie. Like this is incredible. But
I mean, I haven't watched any other of my man's films, and he's made a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched the one because I'm like, I'm still mad at Memento. And everyone's like, that was the first one. And I'm like, well, get in early. Get in at the ground floor of hating, and you can hate your whole life. But
yeah, I'm big on Nolan's work. He actually had a film before that was like a little creepy, in my opinion.
What was it?
He had I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like his like first full length, but it's like tradition. Like a lot of people that don't have a lot of money when they're starting out as directors.
Sure.
It was like black and white kind of thing.
Okay.
So like, if I remember correctly, it was like a film where like this writer used to follow people to like get to like learn about how to write about characters. So like he would be bored and he would like pick a person in public to follow for the day, and he would just follow them like from a block away and write notes about them. And he ended up following someone who ended up being like a burglar, and then he ended up like getting cool with that person and shit, and like they're like robbing places, something, So like, yeah, I was like, this is weird. Like it just feels like you did this for real,
right?
Yeah, like,
I'd watch that. I'd probably watch that. I especially considering when that was probably made, that would be right in my wheelhouse of movies that I enjoy. Just like 90s to early aught, fucking independent, made on a shoestring budget kind of jam.
I'm telling you, it
is really
The Following. That was what it was called. Yeah, I should have picked that up.
The Following.
But it was him just following. It was made in Britain. And it was just him following a whole bunch of people writing notes, and he ends up following a criminal and becomes part of like that world. But yeah, again, this didn't make it easier when I explained Memento to people. So
yeah, that's not gonna. That's still not gonna help. It's just hard to. I don't know, and I don't even know if it'll hit the same because it's been like 20 something years. So I don't know, especially since he's Tenet, right?
Yeah.
He just did Tenet. And isn't he Inception or whatever?
Yep.
And it's just like, I'm like, it's just those mind fucks on a smaller scale. So it actually messes with you more.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this could maybe be a thing. Like I could encounter someone like this. I don't know. So, like I ain't never going to be in an Inception world or whatever the fuck is happening to Tenet. I ain't never going to be in what he was a Batman,
Yeah,
right? He did some
the
Batman
trilogy.
joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never going to be in any of those things. But Memento, maybe. So,
Watching those movies is the reason that like, I understand, not understand. It's the reason that I accept that there's people that voted for Trump. It was like, I don't, in the sense that like, I don't agree, but
mhm.
I accepted the fact that there's people whose brains work different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that's what Nolan taught me. Like I don't know what his political views are. As an artist, I love his work, but I know I could
Mhm.
never make what he makes because I don't know how his brain comes up with that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not very wisely, for very long though, I just assumed everybody was on the exact same wave that I was on.
Yeah.
We all on the same wave. And then if you're not, you let it be known immediately so I know not to mess with you. But now I'm just like, I don't, what? Like I got to decide,
Yeah.
but you like these things, but you hate these things. And the things you hate are things that are very important to me. But we do share it's a lot of bargaining that I don't, I'm sure that someone with more belief in themselves and made of stronger stuff can do and still feel okay with themselves and all that. But I'm not sure I'm necessarily there yet. So we'll see.
Oh man, we're learning about ourselves, Shy. That's what matters.
Yeah, we are.
Let's get into the news. A scientist taught AI to generate pickup lines. The results are chaotic. Artificial intelligence is finally learning how to flirt. I didn't know there was, a demand for this.
Yeah, is that did we need that? Was that on our list? Finally. Let's get these robots out here fucking. What are we doing?
Oh man. Janelle Shane, a research scientist and author from Colorado, created a squad of courtship bots using one of the most sophisticated text writing AI algorithms in the world, a language model known as Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, which uses deep learning to produce human-like text. Researchers claim GPT-3's output is so advanced that it is often difficult to distinguish it from material written by real, flesh and blood humans, which in this case says some troubling things about the standards we've come to expect from real flesh and blood humans. Okay, I like the jokes there. We got some of the actual lines that they tried here. I love you. I don't care if you're a dogo in a trench coat. Okay, you have a lovely face. Can I put it in an air freshener? I want to keep your smell close to me always. That one ain't that bad. The first one was terrible. I'm okay with that one. Okay, the third one. Wait, this beanie hat, is it fashionable? Oh, is that like is that like negging? I don't even know what that was supposed to be trying there. Okay. You look like Jesus if he were a butler in a Russian mansion. What?
No, these are all terrible. What are we talking about?
Next up was Curie, a less powerful piece of software that Shane describes as the closest to a depressing online pickup line list. So these are going to be a little more poetic. Your eyes are like two rainbows and a rainbow of eyes. I can't help but stare. Nah, it was trash, B. Curie. You ain't getting laid. I'm like the ice cream. You can keep me in the freezer for a while, but then I'll melt.
Okay, I think an old man actually yelled that at me before. Like that one actually sounds familiar. I feel like after that he yelled out, "Watch out there now!" And beforehand, when I started to walk up, he started with "Ooh wee." So yeah, that one may work for this robot. I mean, it didn't work for that old man, but it could work for this robot.
Oh man, the third AI, Babbage, is less sophisticated still. This program's charm offensive ricocheted between being aggressively forthright and awkwardly digressive. So these lines include "You're looking good today. Want snacks?" Yo, that's
What's the problem?
solid.
That's extremely solid.
Wow. Okay. It is urgent that you become a professional athlete. Yo, compliments on compliments. Okay.
Yeah, wow. Why are we not liking these?
Yeah.
These are great.
It's the least sophisticated of the three. He's getting it done. Okay, it's a little aggressive, admittedly, but I can see this working. I love you, I love you, I love you. To confess to the confines of death and disease, the legions of earth rejoices. Woe be to the world. Now you gotta stick to the earlier stuff, B.
Yeah, I mean that there's a place for that. I'm not the audience for it, but I imagine if this was typed on a screen that was black with red lettering,
Okay.
it'd probably be effective.
Okay.
You know, just on some old, I don't know, my Chemical Romance shit. I don't know.
I would have bagged you on my GeoCities webpage. You know what I mean? My Black Panther page.
Yes, absolutely.
Over.
This is some Angel Fire hotness right here.
Oh man! And in your Albert Einstein voice, I don't know what kind of accent is that, but you have to say, "I wouldn't change a thing." That's what he would do.
Wait, was that your Albert Einstein
It's
voice?
not my Gastor voice. I was trying to do a voice. I don't know which one it was. I shoot my shot, Shy. You know what I mean?
No, that was beautiful. No, I mean it can't be any more or less effective than with this robot.
There's other robots too. There's Ada, who has great lines like body softening pads. What? That's just very. I don't even know what that is. That's just direct.
Yeah.
Hey baby, are your schematics compatible with this protocol? Yo, I'm about that one right there.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Real. I can tell by your red power light that you're into me. Hell yeah. Okay. Can I see your parts list? It's turning me on.
That one is very effective. Can I see your parts list? That I feel like should be a part of every conversation.
Real talk. I'm about to turn on the fan in here. This is crazy. What's the definition of a femtometer? Because I like to run it through your quark 10 times. Okay.
10 times. Boy, you better buy me a drink. Come on now.
Okay, never mind. Fellas, y'all about to be some real incels because Siri about to take all your chicks. All right, it's over for you. Okay?
Yeah, that is possible.
Speaking of sex robots should target the elderly and the disabled.
Wait, hold on. What is this headline? Should target. That makes me think the sex robots are in a warehouse somewhere with just like a huge picture of old people and string and lasers going between the pictures. So we target the elderly and the disabled. Get them while they're down.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Ian Pearson, a leading futurist known for his 85% accuracy record, projected that sex with robots would be more common than sex with humans by the year 2050. Yeah, so he is advocating for more of these to be marketed towards the people that need them, as opposed to people, the normal target demo, which is younger males. Today's sex robots are sexist, racist, ableist, ageist, and heterosexist, says Dr. Nancy S. Jecker. They tilt towards users who are young, able-bodied, heterosexual, and male. But in the future, we need to reimagine them as products for older, disabled, primarily female clientele, and to offer them with a range of sexual orientations and social functions. I'm about this.
Shit. That's all I heard right there. That's all I heard was just like, I ain't fucking with you dudes no more. Get me my sex robot. I've made enough money. Primary female. Yeah, we done.
I'm about this. Okay. I love it. Societies around the world.
And I need you to be good at a cocktail party.
It should come as no surprise that sex robots are not pitched to older people, but these technologies should be designed to help older people maintain sexual function. Supporting someone's ability to be sexual is part of respecting their identity and dignity as a person, and the non-voluntary absence of sex from someone's life is not just a bad thing, it's a threat to identity and dignity. Okay.
I believe that. Absolutely. I firmly believe that.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board. You know, sex robots for women. Let's do it. Old folks too. I want grandpas fucking. Let's do it. Grandma's out there smashing. Let's go.
Oh, let me see. All right. As a group, however, older people also tend to be more frail and less agile with more porous bones and less muscle mass. And for that reason, it's important for manufacturers to design sex robots in a way that minimizes the risk of injury. Look, that's true. When I was working at an adult video store, we had one of those real dolls. And once we had to move it, they come like in a crate, like a person, like a woman sitting in a crate, a huge, and they're human size. Like this woman was probably like 5'4" and 115 pounds or something like that. It was this doll's dimensions.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So they are a human size, and the limbs or everything's kind of made of like that silicone kind of thing. So when we had to move it we're moving some furniture around, we had to get rid of the carpet, we had to move it. We put it on a dolly and started to move it, and it just kind of started to wiggle like a person would because of just the makeup of it. It was so creepy. It was so creepy. But also, it's the weight of a person. You know what I mean? So if you are disabled and you're having to lug around what is essentially a person, that's not, you know what I mean? It should have its own, like make it Heelys. Put Heelys in it. Just out of the shoulder blades, just two little handles. Make it its own dolly. Do something. Or make the weight adjustable. Do something else.
I love that so much. I really, really want to see that future. Like,
shit, it might be here. We might be 2 years from it. They get it done in the porn world. It's honestly, at that point, they probably will make all of these changes, but it still has to be the marketing.
Yeah.
They're still going to be marketing it to a bunch of idiots. Well, and it needs to go to other folks.
I figured this is the first generation to like really publicly like embrace like the fleshlight and stuff of that nature. Like I think like the generation before this, they had great sex toys, but they were still kind of private. Like I feel like this is the first time where it's more public. So I think as this generation gets older, this need will be like more publicly talked about and hopefully addressed. You know, like if you had a fleshlight and like talked about it on your podcast for 30 years, like you're not embarrassed to tell your kids that you need a sex toy. You've been telling them. They heard you talk about it when they looked you up, like on Google.
Right.
So they know you're into it, like they know dad's still that guy. So,
right.
I think they'll be more comfortable saying, hey, we need this when they go to their doctor's appointments. And hopefully, the company that comes up with this will make a ton of money. But I think it'll exist. I'm excited for this future.
Yeah.
This is dope.
I mean, I guess it will exist. I don't know if I'm fully excited, but I guess that's the robot's job is to make them. That would be the functionality of this robot. It's going to have to talk me into feeling like having sex with it.
There we go. I like that.
Get me one of those.
I just want to have a cup holder. You know what I mean? If you got that, we good.
Such distinct needs.
Willies, talk me into it, cup holder with good money.
Yes.
We'll make millions, huh?
Oh my God.
The U.S. Olympic Committee will not punish athletes for kneeling during the anthem at the U.S. Olympic trials. The kneeling ban for athletes at the U.S. Olympic trials is over. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee decided it will not punish athletes who take a knee or engage in any sort of peaceful protest at the Olympic trials. American athletes hoping to use the platform to shine a spotlight on police brutality and racial injustice are now allowed to follow Colin Kaepernick's lead without fear of sanctions. The USOPC issued a 9-page explanation explaining it decided to implement the new policies after conferring with its new Council on Racial and Social Justice. The organization spells out several forms of peaceful protest that will be allowed at the Olympic trials, from kneeling to raised fists, wearing clothing items with statements like Black Lives Matter and justice. It won't be a free-for-all. There are still limits regarding how athletes can demonstrate. For example, athletes are not allowed to do anything that could affect competition, like forming a human wall that would prevent opponents from completing a race, etc. Also, hate symbols such as swastikas or nooses are also not allowed. But with that said, there's still some caveats in terms of how this will affect and what will be allowed at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. So I read this initially. I was like, okay, this is, good on them for, finally like getting to see the players' side of it. And then like there's more and more I felt like, yo, this is trash.
Why? Why'd you think it was
just
trash?
Like a lot about it, like right off the bat, like they had a meet with another committee. And then it took them 9 pages of them explaining.
That's the first thing I was thinking was like, it took y'all 9 pages. Y'all needed 9 pages?
Yeah, like it should have been like, yo, my bad. Do what y'all got to do. We got your back.
Yeah.
Boom. 3 lines.
I'm like, yeah. And then as you kept going, I was like, okay, well, I guess if they're just like, here's what you can do. This. Here's what we will not allow, blah, blah, blah. But otherwise, you good. Now, keep in mind, this is just for the U.S. Olympic trials. We'll see what happens in Tokyo. I'm like, I feel like you could get that on 1 page.
Yeah.
I don't know why you need it. We don't need to know about your new Council on Racial and Social Justice that you needed to talk to them. I mean, this should have been, and even if so, again, you could have, I guess, stuck that in the first sentence. But 9 pages of you congratulating yourself feels a little weird.
It felt wild suspect. I don't know. I feel like this is some faking the funk. They setting up to like take all this away when the Olympics actually start.
Well, I mean, they don't have any say in it, and so there's no telling. You know what I mean? They are clear in that this is the U.S. Olympic trials.
Yeah.
As far as the Olympics themselves, there's a whole separate corrupt group behind that. So they got to make that decision. So maybe maybe this is a show for the International Olympic Committee. Just like, look what we did. Here's what we did. Here's how we did it, in case y'all are looking. That's the only way I could think why it needed 9 pages, is if they're trying to low key get the IOC to fucking step up and do the right thing. But that's a lot of countries. That's a lot of countries. So.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know why. I'm suspicious of all of this.
Yeah. Oh, stay suspicious. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's so funny that it would, for both of us, it was the 9-page thing. Like, that's a lot of. You don't need all that.
Organizations have been lying to us for too long, Shot. Like we
ain't buying it no more. Y'all are some bullshit. You just lied to us last year. We don't. Come on.
Radar went off right away. I do like the Olympic 1968 Olympic picture just being included, just cause just as a reminder, you can like do the Black Power salute. Shout out to Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Peter Norman, for all taking part in that. Real dope moment. Yeah, I dig that. Let them do what they got to do. It's ridiculous. And like what really ticks me off, I gotta say here, like it pisses me off because it's like they're protesting after they won. Like, yo, like they already won. Like, let them rock. Like, you know how many stupid things you let people do on that stage? They got nothing to do with protesting. Like Jordan was like rocking flags just to not show the Reebok emblem. Ain't nobody find that dude. He wasn't pro-black. He was just anti a sneaker company. Like and y'all let them rock. Let these people like do something that's positive with this moment that they worked 4 to 20 years for. Let them have their thing. All right. Non-pages. Freaking nonsense.
Oh, well, you got the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. You gotten on Gastor's bad
Tell you,
side.
B. Not
You better step it up
seriously.
by summertime.
Yeah, and I watch all your stupid sports, B. I see the people with the broom on the ice. I watch way too much. I don't watch any skating except during the Olympics. I'm watching. I see all that nonsense. Speed, everything. I'm
Watch
with
all
you.
your stupid sports.
I watch all those non-sports sports. All of them joints. I'm there.
Well, you're doing the best you can,
I'm trying to
Gastor.
support, you know what I mean? But you gotta meet me halfway. That's all I'm saying, you know?
That is fair. That's absolutely fair.
Finally, fully on brand for us. Nick Jonas. uh, Nick Jonas is about to become an inspiration to an untold number of kids because of his life story being memorialized in a new comic book. The comic book, which we're told has not been approved by or worked on with Nick or his team, will drop next week, according to Darren G. Davis at Tidal Wave Productions. It's a 26-page long comic, and it orbits around Nick's accomplishments and struggles. The book centers around Nick's drive to become an accomplished singer and star while he battled a serious disease, type 1 diabetes, which he disclosed to the world in 2007. The comic book starts with Nick's rise to fame with the Jonas Brothers. The group was incredibly popular, as everyone I think knows. Lots of folks wrote Nick for his brood off for good. The group, I'm assuming that's another word for that. Okay.
Yeah, like a family brood. Like a brood is like a collection, a family collective.
I don't know. I read that word, I think beer. I don't know why.
I don't either.
That's like an IPA or something? Okay. But Nick wasn't about to wave the white flag. The comic book then hones in on Nick's plan to become a solo artist. White people be patting themselves on the back all the time.
Look, man, I mean, this is insane. Like, we need a comic book about the rise of Nick Jonas and his struggle. And his struggle is type 1 diabetes, which, look, I am not belittling in any way. That is tough to do. But he was making the kind of money to keep that shit under control.
Exactly.
It wasn't a struggle where he didn't know when he was going to be able to afford
those shots.
Medicine.
Yeah. He don't even, I promise you, Nick Jonas don't take shots. He got that automatic thing. I promise you. He got that thing that like it's already plugged in permanently, and like he gets a beep on his phone to let him know that like, yo, you getting a shot right now. Like you getting a rush of insulin now. But like he don't even got to do it no more. It's just automatic.
Also, like when they talk about when they're honing in on Nick's plan to become a solo artist, something that a lot of people in the music industry thought was a non-starter. Nick proved them wrong with Jealous, and it cemented him as a lone singer. Okay, are we going to talk about how the way that he even worked that song in particular and other songs and albums was by kind of putting on a little fake gayness.
Oh.
Like playing up to the queer audiences and being kind of coy about that and showing up on like, I don't know, Out magazine and stuff like that so that he could, because he got swole.
Yeah.
And that was the way. So like by building it in the clubs that way, instead of just trusting that the song would be good, he also showed up like smeared in bronzer or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you could have, whatever. And also, this is ridiculous. It's just stupid. And then don't forget, he became a movie star with Jumanji and then married another movie star, Priyanka Chopra. Well, let's talk about Priyanka Chopra. Why don't she have a fucking, well, actually, he didn't neither he nor his people okayed this comic book. So this really just feels like someone who wants to talk to Nick Jonas really bad.
This is a fan fiction that has gone too far.
Yeah, this is someone who's just like, I can draw. I'll do Nick Jonas.
And also, it doesn't look like Nick Jonas at all.
No,
It's
it
just
doesn't.
a diesel white dude with a beard. Like it doesn't look like Nick at all. This
Yeah.
looks like
Also,
another impressive person.
no one was worried about Nick Jonas. No one's ever been worried about Nick Jonas. No one's worried about. Ain't no one worried about. I mean, maybe some people were worried about Kevin, but even he had a show where he was married and they had a rant or some shit. So even Kevin was just like, "No, I'm good," and we're like, "Cool." But no one was worried about the other ones. This is so stupid. I hope that Nick himself is just like, yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of dumb. I would have done this. Or is he like, shit, I should have been behind this? But it's very ridiculous. Just taking quotes from things he said. And then, I don't know. Why? I've never been a Jonas Brothers person.
Right.
I couldn't sing a Jonas Brothers song if my life depended on it. You would just have to bury me because I don't know one.
Yeah, I don't know any of their tracks whatsoever.
Yeah, so I'm like, how good were they if I don't know any?
What are Jonas Brothers hits? Jonas Brothers hit songs. Oh, man. I swear Google's going to be like, Gastor, this you?
I've had this conversation with a few people, and each time they bring up a song or two and they play it, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. And you can play it, and you would think that I'd be like, okay, when I hear that, I know that's a Jonas Brothers song, but I don't hear that shit, and so I don't think about it. And I do this every few years. I'm just like, dang, what are their songs? And you play it, and I'm just like, nope, I have no idea what that shit is.
I don't know any of these titles at all.
No.
All of these sound like things that you are if you listen to Jonas Brothers songs. It's like a sucker. That's the name of one of the songs. Okay. Burning up. You're only human. You failed. I agree. For listening to the song, you should hesitate before listening to the song.
Yeah, I don't know any of these. I mean, like even One Direction, where I was completely aged out of that, I know at least one of their songs. But I don't know. So where's like the Harry Styles comic book?
Yeah, he deserves one before this dude.
Yeah, he's put out 2 albums. I don't even think Nick Jonas does that, has he? All he did was get married to that woman who was a huge star in India, and they were just like, why is she?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Why is she doing this?
What if like the whole comic book is about what it's like to be married to someone of color? Like that's like his whole like struggle. Yeah. The hardest thing I've had.
I'm a little surprised they didn't make that struggle.
The most challenging.
First, he had type 1 diabetes. Then he married a brown woman. What can't he overcome? Get out of here.
Oh man, what's the most challenging part of my life? Being married to somebody with real challenges has been.
That I then borrow for a comic book.
Oh man. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to the show. If you
like Nick Jonas, please leave us alone. I feel like I must say that.
Yeah, I'm okay cutting that Target demo out. That's all right.
Yeah, fine. We'll be all right.
That Venn diagram has very little overlap. I don't think we're gonna miss out on any shows there. If you're an Apple listener, please rate the show. 4 stars are fine, I guess, but that's just something about you that you got to overcome as a person. 5 stars are dope. Appreciate the reviews we've been getting. If you have any news articles, please submit them. You can DM us directly at Silky Jumbo or at Gastor Almonte on Twitter or Instagram if you have something. Case in point, like this week's article, the one I kicked off with, scientists taught AI to generate pickup lines. I kept that because someone DM'd it to me and I misread the title. I thought it was pretty cool. I read it as a scientist taught Al Green pickup lines. I was like, oh, this is pretty dope. So
Al Green don't need no pickup
That's what I'm
lines.
saying. I was like, wow, this is impressive. You thought you could help Al Green? Okay, so.
Oh God, that's a whole other episode. That would be hilarious.
But yeah, please send us in the articles. We love to talk about them on the show. Thank you for listening. With that said, my name is Gastor Almonte, always with the homie Shalewa Sharpe. This has been a bonus episode of the War Report. Catch y'all next week. Peace.